It's a suspenseful tale where a young woman named Christine mysteriously disappears. Soon, the threads of her disappearance start weaving into the lives of Mira and her husband, Henry. The story begins with Mira and her husband, Henry. Mira is a therapist, while Henry is an architect. Both of them have recently moved from Boston to New Mexico. The fast-paced life in Boston had exhausted them, so they decided to take a break and start fresh. They now live in a high-tech house designed and built by Henry himself. One evening, Mira and Henry go out for dinner, leaving their phones behind at home to avoid any disturbances. They're thrilled to have settled into their new home. However, when they return from dinner, they find their house in disarray. Surprisingly, nothing valuable is missing except for their phones and laptop. Although Henry is reluctant to report the incident, Mira, concerned for their safety, informs the police. The next day, Mira goes to see a doctor. She reveals that 12 years ago, she came from India to study at Boston University, where she met Henry, and eventually, they got married. Mira had previously battled breast cancer, which had left her unable to have children. Despite their hopes to start a family, they hadn't been able to conceive. The doctor now informs Mira that she has fully recovered. Meanwhile, we see Henry at home, where he is visited by a detective. The detective begins asking him questions about the break-in from the previous night. Henry answers all the questions calmly, but the detective hears a strange noise, like a pipe creaking. He mentions that Henry might want to call a plumber to check on it, as it could be a damaged pipe. After this, the detective leaves. A few days pass, and one night, while Mira and Henry are sleeping, a sudden clattering noise wakes Mira. She tries to turn on the lamp, but the power is out. Henry heads outside to check the generator, and while he's gone, someone sneaks up on Mira, pushing her down and tying her up. Outside, Henry discovers that the generator has been intentionally damaged. He hears noises coming from inside the house and quickly returns, only to find Mira bound and frightened. Their home has been invaded by 3 intruders. Henry takes out a gun, shocking Mira, as she had no idea he owned one. He helps Mira down, hands her the car keys, and tells her to escape. But as she's about to leave, gunshots ring out, and one of the intruders appears in front of Mira, trying to tell her something. Before he can finish, Henry shoots him. Henry manages to kill 2 of the intruders, but the incident leaves Mira deeply disturbed and questioning what else she doesn't know about Henry, her husband of 12 years. The next day, the detective returns to speak with Mira and Henry. He informs them that the intruders who broke into their house were members of the Cobb family, a family known to the police. While 2 members are dead, the third is in the ICU. It turns out that the Cobb family's missing member, Christine, disappeared some time ago, and the police have long suspected that her own family might have been involved. The detective adds that they'll have to wait until the third family member regains consciousness to gather more information and solve the case. Mira, who has already endured years of hardship due to her past battle with breast cancer, finds herself feeling overwhelmed once again. Later that night, Henry tells Mira that he's going to the store for some supplies. Shortly after he leaves, Mira notices that he left his wallet behind. She calls him, but he doesn't answer. Deciding to bring it to him, she heads out in her car. On the way, she spots Henry's car, but is surprised to see him turning towards the hospital rather than the store. This unusual detour raises her suspicions, but before she can follow, she loses sight of his car. When Mira returns home, she finds Henry already there. She asks him why he turned toward the hospital. Henry replies casually that he made a wrong turn, but eventually got back on track and brought the groceries home. Mira accepts his explanation, but the next day, the detective informs her that the man in the ICU, one of the intruders, had passed away the night before. This news deepens Mira's suspicions, and she decides to dig deeper. Mira visits the deceased man's home and finds a photograph of him with a woman named Christine, who had been missing for a long time. She also finds an envelope with Henry's company logo, indicating that Henry had sent something to this address. As she leaves, she checks the mailbox and finds a video camera. She takes it home, but the camcorder's battery is dead, making it impossible to watch the footage. Determined to find answers, Mira orders a similar camcorder online so she can view the tape. Later, Mira visits Henry's office, where she finds a USB drive filled with photos taken while their house was under construction. One photo catches her eye. It shows a member of the Cobb family, the man she recognized from Christine's house, working on the construction of their home. This realization unsettles her, hinting at a deeper connection between Henry and the Cobb family. Suddenly, her phone's tracker alerts her that Henry is in the parking lot below. Both she and Henry had enabled tracking on each other's phones as a safety measure. She quickly leaves his office, but Henry becomes suspicious, sensing that she might have been there. Later, he questions her whereabouts, asking where she went that day. Mira, however, keeps quiet about her visit to the Cobb family's house, leaving Henry unaware of her discoveries. Late that night, after Henry falls asleep, Mira sneaks back into his office. She goes through the photos once more and discovers an image of Christine visiting the house during its construction. She copies all the photos onto her flash drive. The next day, she sits in her car outside the police station, torn about whether to go in and reveal everything. Her love for Henry holds her back, so she decides to return home instead. At home, Mira confronts Henry, asking, "Why was a company envelope from you found at the Cobb family's house? And why is there a photo of Christine, who's been missing for ages, on your laptop? You also had a gun for years without telling me. I need the truth." Henry takes a deep breath and begins explaining, "I've been building this house for the past 2 years. With your health struggles, all my savings were drained. To save money, I hired local contractors willing to work at a lower cost, including Christine's father. He had a serious drinking problem. One day, Christine came to the site and got into a heated argument with her father. He was furious and even tried to attack her. I had to step in to protect her. After that incident, I fired him, and Christine went missing that same day. Since then, they've been blackmailing me. I paid them half of what they demanded, but I ran out of funds. I think that's why they broke into our house, hoping to rob us." Reassured by Henry's story, Mira starts to believe him. They both decide to put the past behind them and start afresh, hosting a housewarming party at their new home. Guests arrive, and amidst the celebration, Mira momentarily forgets about the tape she found at the Cobb family's house. During the party, a news segment about Christine flashes on the TV, jolting her memory. Realizing that the camcorder she ordered to play the tape has arrived and is in her car, she quickly retrieves it, inserts the tape, and presses play. In the video, Christine's father recounts, "We built Henry's house. One day, my daughter Christine visited the site, and I saw the way Henry looked at her. The next day, she went missing. Our family, desperate to find her, returned to search the house, even bringing our dog, who barked incessantly at Henry's office. I'm certain something is wrong there." With a sinking feeling, Mira heads to Henry's office. Reviewing the building's blueprints, she discovers a hidden space. Following the plans, she locates a button in the office, which reveals a hidden door. At the same time, Henry, mingling with guests, notices the light on in his office and begins to suspect something is wrong. Descending the hidden staircase, Mira finds a dimly lit room with a young woman bound to a chair, her eyes blindfolded and mouth taped. It's Christine. Mira removes the blindfold, and Christine, realizing she's been found, tries to scream, but her chains clank loudly against a pipe, a sound Mira now recalls hearing previously, even when the detective was there and advised Henry to fix the pipes. Mira quickly tries to calm Christine and reaches for her phone to call the police. Just then, Henry appears from behind, knocking the phone from her hand and crushing it underfoot. Coldly, he tells Mira, "I did all this for us. You had breast cancer and couldn't have children, so I kept Christine here to give us the family we always wanted." Enraged and horrified, Mira realizes the depths of his twisted plan. Now that Mira knows the whole truth about Henry, he ties her up and heads upstairs, telling the guests, "Mira isn't feeling well, so let's end the party early." After everyone leaves, Mira, desperate for answers, asks Christine, "What happened to you?" Christine recounts, "One day I stepped outside and suddenly blacked out. When I woke up, I was here, trapped." Henry keeps coming downstairs, holding his baseball bat, a menacing reminder of his control. Each time, he warns Christine to get ready quickly, hinting at his twisted plans. With a surge of determination, Mira manages to loosen her bindings, freeing her hands, realizing that this might be her only chance to escape his control. Mira quickly unties Christine as well, and just as they are about to escape, Henry descends the stairs. Smiling, he tells Mira, "We can start fresh again." But when he enters the room, he finds it empty. Both Mira and Christine are hiding beneath the staircase. Sensing their chance, they dart up the stairs, trying to make their escape. Henry, realizing they're trying to flee, attempts to stop them, but Mira manages to shove him aside, giving them a brief opening. They reach the main door, only to discover it's locked. The entire house is secured with a complex system Henry had activated. Moments later, Henry appears at the top of the stairs, his calm demeanor replaced with a terrifying determination to keep them both trapped. With a knife in hand, Henry moves through the house, determined to kill them. Both women frantically hide, but he quickly finds Mira. He attacks her brutally, leaving her unconscious. Then he turns his attention to Christine. Grabbing her by the hair, he drags her back to the hidden room where she had been held captive for months. His intentions are clear. He knows that if either one of them survives, he'll end up in prison. Picking up his baseball bat, he prepares to strike Christine, intending to end her life once and for all. Just as Henry is about to strike, Mira, in a final act of courage, hits him from behind with a sharp object. The blow is fatal, and Henry collapses, lifeless. Mira quickly helps Christine out of the hidden room and to safety. A few days later, we see Mira packing her belongings, preparing to leave for Boston, the city she had once left in search of peace. This marks the end of her haunting chapter in New Mexico. And with that, our story concludes. We hope you enjoyed this thrilling tale. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. If you were in Mira's place, would you have supported Henry or taken the same bold steps as Mira did? Let us know in the comments.